Okay, interview at 1850. Okay, first of all then, how did this all start? What was the first experience?
When I moved into a new house with my first husband, and I used to go up to the bedroom, and what was our bedroom, there was always a figure, all in white like a mist, stood at the foot of the bed. And as you used to walk into the bedroom, it used to go like that, as if it had gone through the floorboards. Then after that, my husband was a schizophrenic and he could get violent. I answered him back one night and he went berserk. I went upstairs to bed and left him talking to himself downstairs. I must have fell asleep. I remember opening my eyes and there was a figure all in black bending over me, but before that I did something I should have never done. I wish my husband dead. And I know that is a bad thing to do. I shouldn't have done it. And I thought I'd brought that figure all in black because of the way I was feeling. And I shot up in the bed and I tried to roll over in the bed to get away from it at the other side. And my husband was asleep in the bed next to me. I hadn't heard him come up. He jumped up and he said, "Oh, what on earth's up with you?" And I said, "Oh, no, it's all right." When I turned back, it had gone. It was like a cloaked figure. And before we moved in there, we did the Ouija thing. So I can't remember which one of us suggested it, whether it came from him, his sister, or me. I knew of it because we'd done it like it was a different game to us when we was children, brothers and sisters. And halfway through I said to him, "I'll have to go to the toilet before we carry on." The toilet was out in the yard and it was raining. So I took my slippers off and put my shoes on. When I come back in, I could only find the one slipper. So I said to him, "Come on you two," there was him and one of his sisters. "Where's my slipper?" And he was laughing and said, "Why don't you ask the glass?" I said, "Okay then, come on, put your fingers on it." I asked where my slipper was and it fell down at my feet. His sister got very frightened. And I said to her, "Have you put that there?" She said, "No." She said, "We hid it up in the sleeve of your cardigan on the chair at the back of you." And we didn't do that anymore there, but when we moved into this house where I'd seen the white spirit and the one all in black, I went to a neighbour's house one day and we sat talking and she told me she'd seen a figure all in black. And then a few neighbours started to say they'd seen this figure. It was round those houses. 6 months after we moved in, the clerk of works come to check on all the houses for cracks with them being new buildings to make sure that they hadn't subsided in any way. He asked me if everything was all right and I said, "Well, yeah," but I said, "Could a bed be trapped between the walls between me and the neighbour?" And he looked at me and said, "Why?" I said, "Well, I hear this, like somebody's picked a knitting needle or a tap, tap, tap up the wall. It might be a bed's beak I can hear." And he said, "It's impossible, it's a solid wall between you and your neighbour." Then he went to check on the neighbour's house. He come back in and he said, "Your neighbour thought it was you." Because I said to him, it might be the neighbour's little boy tapping on the wall, playing. If it into bed trapped in the wall. And he come in and his face was white and he said, "She said the same as you." it's impossible for anything to be in that wall. And he was terrified. He said, I'm not coming back in these houses. I'm going. I'm gone. And he left.
When did it start happening here?
Here. It follows me here.
Follows you?
Yeah. It's followed me all the way from Hull, where we come from.
And Hull's the birthplace?
Yeah, not for me, for the family. I was born in Gainsborough, county of Lincolnshire, because the bombs was dropping bad in Hull. And all pregnant mums was forced to go across the river to have the babies. And they wasn't allowed back in Hull until the babies were so many weeks old. When I was brought into the family, they never accepted me. I don't like them. I've tried for 60 years. I'm now 68. I've given them 60 years of my life. I've helped them. I've done everything I could for them. And it's still ain't good enough. So I've withdrawn. Those that are left in Hull, there was 7 of us. We've lost 2 brothers. There's 3 left in Holland. They're not nice to know. Even when it was Mum's funeral, still having a go at me. Having a dig at me all the time, the eldest one. And then the next 2 eldest asked me if wasn't I eating anything. I said, no, thank you. I don't want to. I was sick of the eldest one going on at me. Plus, I could hear 2 of the sister-in-laws in the kitchen, sat near the phone, being very catty about the rest of the family. Every time they went in there for seconds, that's the second plate they've had. And the eldest one said to me, aren't you eating anything? I said, no thank you. And of course she started showing off. Oh George, Alf, oh Kathy, what eat? And I just suddenly turned on it. I've never done it in my life to them. And I changed the tone of my voice and I told her to shut up. If I want to eat, I'll eat. If I don't, I don't. And I've never ever seen her go like that. Her shoulders went right down and her head went right down and she was picking the crumbs off her plate. She never said another word to me. I don't like them. I've tried for years.
What is the normal thing that happens in this particular home for these?
The one where I saw the first lot of spirits.
What's a normal thing they do? Do they appear or
No, they was just stood over me.
Stood over you?
They're not like these. These are hateful. There was not.
So these ones now are hateful?
They're hateful.
So,
and they've told me that the bad ones, and they won't go through because they can't.
Okay.
What? So the one all in black, I know.
Here?
No. When the first house where we started to see him, it was only a little one.
What? Just trying to gather the strength of them here.
Well, before that, when we moved into, me and Carl moved into, I'm trying to think, where was it? Bayswater Court, the high-rise flats. First of all, I'd lived in Valiant Drive, high-rise flats. Because of my divorce, my husband wouldn't leave me alone. So I had to live in the high-rise flats with an intercom for safety. And my daughter had been living with a young man who took his life. They asked me if I would bring her home with me. I took her home, her and the babe. And then she told me she wanted to go back to the hostel. She'd left him a few times. And I said to her, you're alright here, love, there's nothing in here. There's nothing that's going to hurt you. And she said, Mother, there is something in here because I can see it. And she took her life. Not there, but I took her back to the hostel. She or myself. It hasn't been easy.
Are they known to do they move things? Have they ever moved anything?
No,
Spirits?
they move round.
They move around.
They move round, yes.
Okay.
Before that, in Bayswater Court, we moved from Valiant Drive to Bayswater Court. I couldn't come to terms with living in that flat. I didn't want people putting me up in the street to ask me what had happened, because I knew I would get upset. And we moved into Bayswater Court and there was 3 different spirits in my bedroom. Not the same ones, 3 different ones. These was 3 that was round my room when I was in bed on a night. There was a thick set one who reminded me of mother's dad. He was broad and he wore grey flannel trousers like my granddad had always worn. And there was another one, a young one, who used to jump into the bed laughing at the side of me. And one night I woke up and I could see a man all in brown from head to foot, his bony fingers, everything. And I jumped where he was stood in the window, and he got into the bed at the side of me, and I said to him, "What are you doing in there? That's not your place, that's Bob's. We just nicely lost Bob. He'd been my partner for 6 years, but we didn't live together. But to me that was still Bob's place." And I could see him, his bony hands on top of the sheets like that, his bony fingers. And he said to me, "What I am about to do now isn't easy." I never saw those 3 spirits again, just these. As if he'd let these in.
Have these ones ever hurt you?
Yes.
Physically?
They pin me.
Pin you down?
No, not pin me down.
1 second.
The stick pins
Where
in
we
me.
need to what?
Feels
What's going
like a
on with
stick.
this EMP?
Stick pins in you?
It feels like they're sticking pins in me.
Okay.
And they sexually mould me, and it's so aggravating. I keep telling them to leave it
And how often does that happen?
every night.
Every night?
Yeah.
Is there a particular time, or do they just...
No, there's, if I'm sat up late watching television, they start pestering round me, telling me I should be getting into bed.
So they're coaxing you to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
And another night, only a few nights ago, there's a voice always above them, a male voice, shouts out and tells them to leave me alone.
Yeah.
And this male voice said, "I know what you're up to. You want her to die so you can have sex with the corpse." And the male voice said, "Yeah, that's right." And then he went, "Oh," I said, "Yeah, you've slipped up there, haven't you?" He said, "You bad little bugger, leave her alone. She isn't going to give in because you're pestering her. She's not going to die. She's too strong and her body isn't ready to go." Now there's been other people while we lived in Bayswater Court that have heard them, seen them, and been hurt by them.
Do you ever feel sometimes that when you're in bed that you can't move?
They have done that to me,
They've
yes.
done that to you?
Yes.
Physically?
Yes.
Right, okay. Okay, because that...
I would say maybe once, twice at the most.
Okay, because what it is, this is actually coming to... it's looking like a conclusion of the type of spirits they are.
They've told me that's bad.
Which, unfortunately, isn't very nice.
No, they're not.
The last known recorded case of something like this was back in, I think, 1978.
Yes. The voice above us asked them how the last person got rid of them.
In
Walks
America.
out. Yeah.
Now, I know that case, people were called in and for years they tried to stop this thing,
Yeah.
but they didn't, and even today it is still going on because they cannot, it's built up so much energy,
That's
they
right.
cannot stop them. Where in this case we need to sort of stop
Yeah.
that energy from being built anymore
Right.
to allow us to pass them on.
Yeah.
How many do you think there are?
There's two that are always round me. There's always a group round them that says they're not bad, they need help, we're helping them. The voice up above says, no you're not. When they're back off, you'll take over and do what they've been doing. So it's like there's a crowd of them, there's two main ones. There used to be a third one.
Yeah.
And I named that third one. And when he started to know how I felt, he backed off and said he would never ever do it again. He was part of a family in Hull that had been burnt to death. And he thought that, like a lot of people in Hull, think they deserved what they got. But I say, nobody deserves to die like that. There were children. He was the eldest one. And he backed off.
Yeah, I'm building a picture up here as well. It's not looking good.
Well, we've got a name.
What's the name?
Hastings or Hasty in Hull. Within a fire.
That's them. Hastings.
Hastings.
Who died in the fire.
That's just been confirmed.
Kimpton.
That's just been confirmed.
Hang on, yeah. I didn't press the button then.
Okay, I'm going to bring her back downstairs now for a break, okay?
Correct time.
Right, there's been some activity up in the loft as well, because during the interview I heard two specifically loud bangs up there, which is where we were aiming the camcorder in the first place.
Also, me and Cole's EMP thing has been going mad.
Okay, what we do is we'll take a little 5-minute break now, then we'll do another sweep of the house.
Okay.